Hello, I'm Morris Kohansky, Wilderness Living Skills and Survival Instructor. I'm going to address a notion that I have encountered most of my career. And I don't know where it came from, but it sort of stands as an example of a person getting to the bottom of things. At some point, many years ago, probably the early 60s, I attended somebody's talk and they cautioned the students not to eat snow. Now, in the issue of linguistics, when you say eat, what are we talking about? Do we take a bowl full of snow and a spoon and eat it? Well, it takes a little while. Now, I find something prevents me from swallowing the snow. I've got to let it melt in my mouth, and the water then is swallowed. I think it's difficult even to try to swallow ice cubes. You have a natural inclination to melt it in your mouth and swallow the water. So how do we find eating? Now, one of the earliest things that I found is that the person were cautioning people not to eat snow because they figured it contributed to your dehydration and it might make the difference between the onset of hypothermia and not. But Tom Roycroft, who was in a way a voracious reader of the literature, he says, well, how come the Eskimos will go for days on end by not being able to melt ice or snow to meet their water needs? Now, they would do things like take snow and get it near the fire until it was sodden and it would start to drip, and then they would use hollow bones from like birds as a drinking straw to suck the water out of the... But generally they may go for weeks by consuming the water they needed through putting snow in their mouth. Now, if you take a handful of snow and slap it on your face, the result on your lips is going to be probably a severe case of chapped lips. But if you calculate how much water you need, which means that you got to have 1,000 grams, because generally that's about as much water as a normal human will consume in 24 hours, and more so, it can be 5 times that under certain conditions, but generally in the cold, you need to pass about 1 liter of water. And you look at the color of the urine. If it's colorless, that's you're consuming too much liquid. If you have a detectable yellow tinge, that is just right, and you will just generally find that the amount of water that you consume, a lot of it can be lost through sweating and other conditions. So the objective is to urinate 1 liter or a quart of water, and then that way you give your kidneys the chance of having enough liquid to flush everything that has to be removed from the byproducts of combustion. Now, there's a fellow who got lost in the mountains somewhere, and he was a medical student. He might have been from Australia, and he survived for 43 days by eating snow, as you might say. Well, he would take the amount of snow that he required, and he would make it into balls of a size that you could put in your mouth without touching your lips. And he'd lay out these balls of snow, and at a given time he would consume, because he understood that you needed the amount of water to optimize the situation. And from somewhere he must have understood that the amount of calories that was required to change that snow to liquid water. So here you got the situation that it takes so many calories to melt the snow, and then it takes so many calories to take that melted snow water and bring it up to body temperature. Well, here we have a little bit here for the people who want to know greater detail. So for a kilogram, which is a liter, weight is good enough, close enough. So a gram or a pint's a pound the world around. For 1 kilogram of water, it'll take 117,000 calories, and those are the small calories. Those calories are so small that in terms of you determining how much calories you get from food, they choose to use the kilocalorie, which is 1,000 times more. So the small calorie is 117,000 calories, which means that the big calorie, which is the designation for calories as derived from food, it's 117. So you've got so much to make up a liter, and then you've got 80 calories which is called the latent heat of fusion. So to change snow at 0 degrees to water at 0 degrees, you have to add 80 calories, the big calories, I would say, and so on. So I think there's a confusion here between the big calorie and the little calorie. The big calories divide from the kilogram, the little calorie is from the gram, which is 1,000 times difference. So when you add up and do your calculation, the amount of energy that you're using to be able to melt the water you need on a 24-hour basis is equivalent to a thick slice of heavy brown bread, you might say. So that's 117 calories, considering that, you know, that's a rather small fraction of the approximate 2,000 calories that an old person like me tends to eat on a given day. So the issue of dehydration and the issue of bringing on hypothermia or thirst is not a valid one. And I think human mind, the way it operates, figures that since you get such a horrible condition of your lips by getting the snow in contact with your lips, that people figure, oh, well, that's very negative. And the negative aspect is your blood getting thicker. You need a certain amount of liquid, and the human is capable of melting ice and snow in the mouth to meet your water needs. That's the issue, not the issue that you're scared that you'll become hypothermic or you'll die of thirst because you're consuming snow. This point seems to be creeping up even in modern literature, because a lot of people copy from old articles where the people didn't stop and think and analyze the situation. So that's the way I take it with regard to my opinion on what it is to eat snow. I think it's important, and I think the issue of dehydration and hypothermia is a mistaken one.